Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to work on an Accurate reel. This is the Accurate Tern, T-E-R-N, 400. This is an American-made, USA-made reel. It's a twin star drag reel. We'll show you how that comes when we do that. And I believe this is an aftermarket handle. The reel actually came in because the handle knob was broken off. I guess it must be an aftermarket handle knob, maybe the Gamexis, I don't know. But at any rate, we were able to reattach that, and we'll do a general service on it now. So these are the current popular reels of the times, if you will. Low profile, braid capable reels that, you put a lot of capacity on a small format, and it's kind of leads you to ultralight tackle, which is sort of what everybody's been fishing these days. Inshore ocean. Well, we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces so that we can get to the gears and service them. These require Torx, and this is a Torx 8 for the handle screw, but then they go crazy on me here because they go down to Torx 6 for the side plate screws. So I guess you never have enough tools when you're going to be working on one of these reels. Well, while we're working on the exterior parts, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to the channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting, and you'll be able to see whether that's a reel that you want to learn more about. All right, we've removed the handle. I was just looking to see if there was an aftermarket handle. It looks like this is part of the original blank, and maybe it's just the handle knob that's been upgraded. To get to the rest of this, we have an E-clip here. Those are always fun. I have an E-clip remover, but a lot of times just a micro screwdriver kind of hooked into the back of it will enable you to get that piece off. When I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray, and I use a, in this case, a fast food container. I also encourage you at this point to take some pictures because, pictures tell worth 1,000 words, right, if that's the adage. And one of the things that's important to note here is the sequence of the pieces and parts that go underneath. We have a star adjuster that comes up. Look on the inside, sometimes there is a little washer in there. Then we have a spring. And you can put the adjuster back on because there's a square nut down here that you need to back off. This is one of these popular setups with those springs. Daiwa and other manufacturers use them. And once you get that worked up enough, you can remove the rest of that nut by hand. And when you remove that, notice that there is a groove on one side of that nut that faces up. The other side of the nut is flat and faces down. And I put these into my parts tray. I put them in by sub-assembly. It makes it easier for me when it's time to reinstall. There are two small washers under here, I think. There's at least one. If you can't get it off, don't worry. When you move the case out, it will come off. But again, just to keep yourself oriented, there's one. These are generally called tension washers. And they give you a little bit of flexibility in the way that the star adjuster tamps down on the piece. I think we're probably just going to leave that one there. I don't think they call them tension washers just to create a lot of internal tension with the guy servicing the reel, but we're just going to leave that. There's 4 Torx screws now that hold the outer case. Make sure when you're looking, you check the back here as well. Because sometimes they just hide one there. Sometimes they hide one behind the screw as well, or the spool. And this is just a Torx screwdriver set that I picked up along the way. And I find that a lot of the more modern reels are going to these Torx screws. I was just working on a Shimano Stella, and that one uses the Torx screws in the case. I guess it's probably an easier thing from a manufacturing standpoint. than the slotted screw or the Phillips head screw. When I take them off, I lay them on my table. I want to make sure they're all the same size screw. If they're not the same size screw, I want to identify the place where the smaller or the longer or the wider kind of screw went. These four are the same, so I'm going to pick them up, put those right into my parts tray, just because they come off and, well, they're easy enough to lose. Okay, we should be able to remove the outer case now, and we're going to see that we have an inner case that's going to be required to complete the servicing of this reel. While we're on this side, we might as well take the spool out, clean up the inner part of the case. I'm going to use a paper towel for that. There's just some grease that got smeared around there for whatever reason. A drop of oil onto the bait alarm, or the click mechanism, if you will. There's a ball bearing on the back side of the spool. I do like to oil those ball bearings. And we can just reinstall that. There's not much on this side of the case. It's almost like a lever drag reel, very little there. When you go to put the spool back in, make sure you didn't trap the line in the side of the case. We're going to come over now and do the service on this side. There are 4 Phillips head screws, and this is kind of my point before. You've got Torx screws on the outside, now you switch over to Phillips head screws on the inside. There's no consistency in kind of the way that this has come about. Again, another good place to take pictures. To give you an idea of how the reel is set up. You have a fallback or a contingency plan, and that is to get a schematic of the reel. But if you don't have the schematic, pictures probably are the best way to tell you the shape, the orientation, the sequence that you took the pieces out and off in. And well, just helps you when you go through that later to know what you've done, so that you can repeat that in reverse to solve the reel. This should just lift off now. If you're having trouble lifting it off, just turn it around, push it up, because that's the way that your bridge should come out. There we go. Okay. So we have a twin drag set up here. Notice that we have that big old plate on the side there. This is a instant anti-reverse reel. Here's the additional tension washer and the water seal. This is your clutch sleeve for your anti-reverse clutch. Your anti-reverse clutch is screwed into the case. You do not need to take that out. All you need to do on an anti-reverse clutch is make sure that it is dry, cleaned and dried. We have a ball bearing in the back of the case. Take a picture here in case for some reason you needed to work on this eccentric. You're going to notice that there's a spring here that goes into the side case, and it hooks in from underneath on this side. And if you need to replace that spring, that's the orientation of the spring. This is a twin drag. It has drag on both sides of the main gear, and it provides a lot of max drag in this reel. I'm oiling the bearing now. Just going to run a cotton swab in and out of the anti-reverse just to make sure that that's clean, and we'll set that piece aside. Again, take pictures here. It's kind of important to do that so that you know on reinstall where those go. Let's remove the main gear. You can see on both sides as we move that shaft that there's drag washers on the back, drag washers on the front. We have a little bit of mess going on here with the over grease and the like, so we're going to take this off, and I'm going to start by removing the E-clip that's holding the spring on the one side. Again, I'll go to that little micro screwdriver for a little bit of an assist. Hold the assembly and hold the spring, because that spring can shoot. And then find a nice little safe part in your parts tray so that they don't travel very far. We'll do the same thing here. I press down a little bit. Just use that pick to push it out. Shield it so that I don't have it that spring jump. Take that E-clip, right next to the other one in the case. Spring right next to the other one in the case. Now we can pull up the yoke assembly, and we can pull out on the jack assembly. So what we have here is basically a wheel that's been torn down to its some of its pieces, and we want to clean this. I'll take some penetrating oil to do that, and while that penetrating sets up, I want to encourage you to ask questions. This is, after all, a teaching channel. It's a channel to show you how to do it yourself, a little bit about how reels are made, who the manufacturers were, and well, how to service the reels to keep them fishing, and if you have one that broke, how to give it a second chance, hence the name, Second Chance Tackle. Okay, so we've cleaned up the back of this. These appear to be aluminum pieces. That's probably good in that it doesn't rust. Clean it off. A little bit of fishing reel grease. I'm using Penn Precision Reel Grease for this project. A little bit onto the back slide of the reel jack. Place that in. We want to clean the yoke. When we do this, notice that there's a ramp. It's not square on the back end. That's the back. So that mounts in the down position. Check the pinion gear, make sure that's clean and clear. Get some good grease onto that. Grease onto the shoulder of the yoke. Again, that's the back. And the slot mounts to the back side. This one, interestingly, goes the other way, or opposite the way many of the reels work. In order for this to work, it's in the down position for engaged, and when you pull it up, that's when it releases it from the spool. Let's go back into our tray now and get the piece of parts that hold that on. There's a spring. I think my cleanup is done, and generally speaking, I need a little bit of help, so I'm going to remove the glove at this point, because when I go to put the E-clip on, I'm going to need to compress the spring with one side and to push in with the other. So it kind of works like this. Compress it down. Not always easy to do. There we go. Hold it, grab your E-clip, get it into the groove, press it in, and release the spring. So that's how it looks when completed. Let's do that on the other side. Just need to find the E-clip. Again, we're going to push down, compress the spring, hold it, get that E-clip, center it into the groove, pull in, and release. There you go. So that yoke assembly is now complete. Let's go over to the main gear then. First thing we want to do is put a little grease onto the main gear shaft. We have a Teflon washer back there that doesn't get any grease. Let's show you the twin drag then. We'll start on this side. We have the big pressure plate or metal drag washer. You can push through on this side, you'll get the corresponding one on the back. Make sure that they are clean and debris free. These are Carbon-Tex washers. You do not need to grease them, but you should check them. These are serving as eared washers, so check them. Make sure that you can see the cross-hatching in these. One thing you can do with these is you can clean them, get a hard bristle brush, pull through, and that will remove any dirt and debris that is in that washer. Well, we're going to do one side at a time here. We'll remove this one, and we have a different washer in that it's round underneath. Now this is the top side. You should note that. And again, see the cross hatchings? Put that back in. This goes in. And this seats like that. And then this is the bottom side. And you can see there's a little bit of wear. Not terrible, but there's a little bit of wear here. So again, let's pop this out. Pull that drag washer off. Get to the one underneath. And here's a little brass bushing that fills the hole in that main gear. Again, we'll do the same thing. Pictures help here. Just kind of use that brush. You can use a toothbrush. Any hard bristle brush will do. Make sure that your metals are clean. Inspect, again, maybe a little bit of wear on this, so let's just pull through. Most of it's dirt. Very strong drag washers in the drag washer system. Okay, that's the back side. We're going to put that onto the shaft. Guess we kind of knocked up the other thing while we did that. That's okay. Get to see to do it again. I just need to make sure that that bushing is in. Now it just keeps wanting to come out for some reason. Let's reset it here. If you think something's not going right, stop and reset. Clean it up, make sure it's nice and clean and clear. Now we have the shield for that anti-reverse clutch. Let's make sure that goes on. Oops, the last thing you want to do, you want to grease the teeth. Check the teeth on the main gear. I was kind of doing that as I was kind of working, but you should check the teeth and make sure that they're not chipped or cracked or broken. Just watching an auto repair show on cable TV. They were working on a transmission. The transmission, of course, has a lot of gears in it, just like a fishing reel does. And they had shown how something had exploded inside and ripped up the teeth of the main drive. Well, that happens in fishing reels too, so you got to be careful. All right, we have this in the down position. Make sure your eccentric is in the down position. We've oiled the bearing, cleaned the case. Center that and bring that over to mount it. And then work it till it seals in. And you will know that you have that stud inside the yoke if you pull back on this and the gearing retracts. So you can see that we've got that properly aligned. Let's go to our case then and get our 4 screws. They're going to hold the bridge down. So these got 4 very big drag washers in a very small platform. So this has got a lot of max drag in it. Max drag is a function of surface area. So a lot of times people will ask a question in the forum and say, can I increase max drag by putting in Carbon-Tex washers? The answer is no. You'll probably be better at durability of the washers, but you won't increase the max drag. What you need to do if you're using Carbon-Tex washers to increase max drag is add more washers. Some reels will allow you to do that, some won't. I know there's a conversion kit available for some of the Penn reels. I think the Senators are one of them, where You can take a 3-drag system, make it a 5-drag system, and that's going to give you, the math is going to be wrong here, but let's say 40% more max drag on the reel. Okay, one more of these screws and that side plate is done. So we've taken this reel apart completely. We've shown you the twin drag. The idea of the twin drag is that there's drags on both sides of the main gear. And, well, very effective. Okay, I'm going to move this to the off position. It's easier to mount. I'm going to line it up and make sure that we are aligned in the case here on the back side. Now we know we have those 4 little screws, and we have our Torx driver to put those back in. Let's start with the little orphan over here on the side. It doesn't have any company. Put that one in. I'm not quite gripping there. Be patient as you do this. Don't force anything. And for whatever reason, that's off just a little bit. Now let's come over to the side where I can see what I'm working on. There we go. Well, that should mean that the other side is aligned. Well, as I mentioned, this is an Accurate reel. It's a US made reel. And, well, the competitor in the US is Avet, A-V-E-T, also US made reels. You also have Siegler. They're down in Virginia. They make a nice reel similar to this. And there's a couple of them that are very well made, nice, and made it domestically. This one was a little bit different in that it is a star adjuster. Most of these smaller platform reels are lever drags. But I just worked on a couple of reels that are the star drag adjuster type reels. Okay. Let's go back now and finish the front side of this. We have a bearing there. Oh, we have the sleeve. We don't have a bearing. There's a water seal that goes on there. And first of those tension washers, that was the one that was trapped in there. Second of the tension washers. And I'm going to go set up this adjuster stack. Flat side goes down, and most of this you can do by hand. The further down on the shaft you put it, the easier it's going to be to put that star adjuster on. So work that down as much as you can. And I like to do it by hand so that I kind of assure myself that I haven't cross-stripped anything. Let's take the spring next that seats into the groove. Now we want to take that star adjuster and we want to press down on that. Okay, press down. Tied that in, get that little washer that should slip over that E-clip there. Grab your handle, your handle nut, again thread these by hand, that way you don't run the risk of cross-threading it. Let's grab our 13mm wrench, tighten that up. One more piece in the parts tray, that's always good. Now there's nothing left in the parts tray, so we know we've put everything back on the reel. We just hope that we put it back on the reel correctly. We use the Torx driver to set the screw to hold that nut from turning. And we'll give it a test. Tighten down on your star adjuster. Bring this in the free spool. Make sure it turns. It turns nice and easily. Of course it will. Everything's just been oiled and greased all lubed up. Let's put it into gear, turn it. Nice smooth operator with a handle that's well, spinning accordingly. So that's it. That's the Accurate Tern 400 Twin Star Drag fishing reel. And I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. If you did, again, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please use that notification button to let you know when I'm posting. To our first responders and center personnel, thank you for all it is that you do to keep us safe. I appreciate your day in and day out commitment to public safety. To everyone, please enjoy the art of reel repair. Learn as much as you can. It'll only make you better. And keep your reels serviced and ready to go fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.